Alright, welcome back everybody to Higurashi no Nakokoro ni. I'm sorry that it takes me so long to get to this, but you know, just other things happening. So, also, as you notice, there's no webcam. I have my hair in cute little braids so that tomorrow it's all curly, so I look funny. Anyways, so we're gonna continue. And like I said before, I'm trying to keep these fragments like kind of together so it makes sense when you watch them in one episode. I'm doing like about an hour-long episodes of however many fragments I can get in. But it's hard because it's like you gotta go back and forth. Like I wish I could do like all of Satoshi's in one and all of, you know, but I can't. So let's continue with our fragments. Mion-san! Your friend is here! I heard the housekeeper's voice. Our house and the front yard are huge, so unlike normal houses, ringing a doorbell or yelling my name, repeatedly asking to play won't work. Okay, thank you. Who is it? Rika Furude-chama. Oh, finally. Can you tell Granny that Rika-chama's here? I think she's on the porch. I'll get the watermelon. Granny received many beautiful watermelons from somebody, so she wanted to share. I just called the Furude house a short time ago, and Rika-chan is here to pick one up. Did she come on her bicycle? I can't remember if it has a big enough basket. I pulled the watermelon from the well while thinking about that. The cold water in the well has refrigerated the watermelon, and the condensation makes it look delicious. The 3 members of the Furude family will at least enjoy it for 2 nights. Meep. Am I supposed to take it home? I thought... What? Didn't your dad tell you? The priest answered the phone, and I thought I told him to come pick it up. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, or maybe he misunderstood me completely. So this is before Rika's family is dead, but I'm pretty sure she was possessed by... I don't know if it's possessed, because they kind of like help each other out, but possessed... when Aksa came, and that was like way before. Besides, a small basket on Rika-chan's bicycle won't hold the watermelon, and it's too dangerous for her to ride while holding it in her hands. Mion, why don't you help Rika-chama take the watermelon? There's no way she can ride her bicycle while carrying it. There's a freaking van right there. Meep. I can hold the watermelon. No, that's too dangerous. If something happened to you, I wouldn't know what to say to Oyashiro-sama. Mion will help you. Okay, I will. I'll go say hello to the priest too. No matter whether she rides or pushes her bicycle, Rika-chan's hands will be occupied. So I'm going to carry the watermelon. The sky is turning auburn in the sunset. The cool breeze feels good on my sandaled feet. The plastic bag I'm carrying contains the watermelon and also some small bags of rock candy. If her mother finds them, she'll take them away, so we decided to eat them before we got to our home. We opened the bags and enjoyed the rock candy. Rika-chan isn't an exception. Whenever kids from our neighborhood come to our house for errands, Granny gives them some treats. Actually, that's a pretty common rule here in Hinamizawa. It's funny, but sometimes when parents aren't watching, siblings fight over who gets to take the circular notice to the next house over. So these bags of rock candy are like tips for them. Of course, she doesn't normally give out this much. Usually it's just a little piece of it. Granny's being extra nice to Rika-chama. I feel bad getting all this candy. Don't worry, Granny loves you. You should just thank her and put a big smile on your face, that's all. Do you get lots of treats? I used to, but at this age they don't give me any. If they did though, I'd probably feel like I was being treated like a little kid. Meep. I'm being treated like a child then. That's okay. Enjoy it while you can. When you become as old as me, you won't get any even if you wanted some. As we talked about ordinary things, I noticed Rika-chan seemed a little sad. Yeah, because she's been alive technically for like 200 however many years. What's wrong? Oh, this goes back to the one Rika was in before when she went to the grocery store. Whenever I run errands, I get candy as a treat. But Satoko doesn't get any, even if she comes with me. Yeah. I can think of so many reasons why. Not only Satoko, but everyone in the Hojo family is being treated poorly in Hinamizawa. And the Sonozaki families are the ones who instigated that. The 2 dam supporters have died in an accident already, but the malice against the Hojo family is still going. It's directed against Satoko and Satoshi, their children, and the aunt and uncle who are taking care of them. The big fight between the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family at the explanatory meeting started all this. But that was the Hojo couple, and it shouldn't have anything to do with the children and their aunt and uncle. But the idea that the Hojo family are traitors evolved on its own, therefore anyone bearing the Hojo name is to be treated poorly. The aunt and uncle weren't dam supporters, so over time the attacks towards them should have stopped. But they're rather odd and keep having trouble with their neighbors. They don't follow the community rules, they don't do their community duties, and they spray pesticide while their neighbor's laundry is still hanging outside. They often get into fight with other villagers. They'd be hated even without the dam. Therefore, the Hojo family continues to be treated poorly. But none of that should have anything to do with Satoko and Satoshi. Satoko and Satoshi are often depressed at school. I tried to leave the conflict between the 2 families aside, but I wonder how they really feel about that. From their point of view, I'm just another member of the family that keeps harassing them. I don't want any of that at school. That's why I try to be their friend while we're there. How can we get that to extend outside too, instead of staying in school? That'd be pretty difficult. The Hojo family made enemies of the 3 families. They were branded as traitors, and that's still considered the truth. It wouldn't mean anything if one person suggested an end to the hostilities just because the events around the dam are history now. On the contrary, that would just put them in the same position. Unfortunately for Satoko and Satoshi, the only thing they can do is to wait patiently until the issue withers away, or move. All I can do for them is provide an oasis until that day comes. So how long do they have to wait? I don't know. The dam conflict lasted for several years. They were branded back then, so it might take years to clear up too. Do you mean they won't be forgiven until they become adults? Will Satoko have to live out her childhood going through that? That's pretty miserable, isn't it? Me? We are their friends, aren't we? Sure. They're my friends. We're all buddies. Then isn't there something we can do to help our friends? What exactly can we do? I don't know why it keeps stopping on this at the first word. Even if the Sonozaki family declares the dam conflict is over, so the Hojo family are no longer outcasts, that won't solve the problem. It's not that simple. In the first place, Granny hates the Hojo family and won't suffer their name to be mentioned in her presence. It's not a matter of someone forgiving another. It kind of seems like it. It's a matter of very complicated ties between the people in this village. It's absolutely terrifying to have them as your enemies. Everyone knows that very well, and that's why they maintain good relationships with their neighbors. However, if you make enemies out of them, you'll have to face the consequences. I don't know if that's Japanese community, but okay. That's the unwritten law of the Japanese community. And the Sonozaki family is a part of this unwritten law. Now that the Hojo family are outcasts, not even the Sonozaki family can overturn the situation. So even if it's an issue of Hinamizawa, We can't do anything about it as a Hinamizawa residence? Unfortunately. That's probably so, yeah. If there's someone who can help Satoko, that person must be someone who has nothing to do with the village. But there's no one like that here. Are you saying someone from the outside has to come help her? Interesting. Like Rika-chan says. Ah. Wouldn't knight in shining armor from the outside world ever come here? Would that person bring in a new wind into this village that has been filled with stale air for hundreds of years? Interesting, Keiichi. No way. That's just wishful thinking. Time will solve the problem someday. Until then, I have to be their ally. I can't think of anything else I can do for them. As Rika-chan and I crunched on our rock candy, we can only pray that people will forgive Satoko and her family sooner rather than later. Sounds like it's your grandma who holds all the power here, girl. Rika-chan gently broke the heavy silence. I know. Huh? I know someone who has... Oh, wait. I know someone who has absolutely nothing to do with the village will come here from the outside. That's right. The Dan conflict is over, so it'd be great if people moved into those lots that are for sale. Wouldn't it be fun if a family with a kid our age moved in? He will come. I know. And we'll break this evil practice alongside him. That will be the first key to one of the 3 locks that have trapped us in the past. Huh? What's this? Are you talking about a novel or something? Rika-chan says some odd things sometimes. When she talks that way, she seems so mature. I even start to doubt she's really younger than I am. The unreasonable antagonism towards the Hojo family. Will there really be someone from the outside world who will shatter our old traditions? How long has she been possessed? I'm saying possessed because that's the only way that I know how to say it. Because every time the loop has gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, so it could have started very long because it seemed like she was possessed when Aksa came, which was during the dam? Yeah. Which was way before, so she probably, yeah. Oh, that was a pretty short one. Okay, let's see. So that was strawberry milk candy. So we a red capsule. Let's go back to the first page. That one happened. We know the tragedy in live specimen. There we go. I was half asleep, so I didn't even hear the phone ringing nearby. After a while, I finally realized the phone was ringing, and a ringing phone means there's some kind of emergency. It's 2 in the morning! Who would even call me at this time of night? I don't know who we're talking. Oh. Hello, this is Irie. I'm sorry to bother you, Dr. Irie. It's Takano-san. She's never called me for a personal reason. At the institute, she's ranked just below me, so she's basically responsible for running it. So for her to call me this late at night, it must be an emergency. Sorry it took me so long. Is it true we have another terminal patient? Yep. I was hoping to find a living specimen, so this is perfect. Oh, that's right. They needed a living person who was, like, dying. I initially thought she abducted someone. Probably fucking did. The man had already been moved to the research area in the clinic's basement. Having been tied down to the examination table, he's struggling against his restraints, but more as though he's deranged than actually resisting. I can't even understand what he's saying. He sounds angry, sorrowful, and like a child throwing a tantrum all at once. It's obvious that he's not in the right state of mind. Anyway, let's put him under anesthesia. He might kill himself otherwise. I wanted to observe him a little longer, but I guess I have no other choice. One of the staff with a white gown got the anesthesia ready. Even a normal person would struggle to escape a restraining table in this suspicious room. But this man's behavior is at an abnormal level. I'm sure Gunogi-san and his friends from the Mountain Dogs are the one who captured him. Capturing a man in this state of mind couldn't have been an easy task. According to Takano, she ran into this patient on her way home from the clinic by accident. Yeah, sure she did. She brought him back here to be tested him and result came back positive. Of course, I have no intention of disbelieving what she's telling me. Well, good for you. But there is no question that this man is at his terminal stage, and a live specimen is exactly what we need to research the syndrome. Who is this man, anyway? He had something wrapped in newspaper. What do you think was in it? What is this? There's something wrapped in a bloody newspaper on a tray nearby. Looking at the blood-drenched paper, I can only imagine there's something gruesome inside it. Is this the damn guy? Yet Takano-san looked like she wanted to surprise me with something interesting. Oh, God, this is awful. It's a bloody right arm. The man on the table still has his. This right arm doesn't belong to him. So, who does it belong to? I'm used to looking at things. Yes, this is the guy that the damn people that went crazy and beat up the guy, as a doctor. But the horrible cross section makes me want to look away. It wasn't done according to medically acceptable method, that's for sure. It was obviously done out of cruelty. Judging by the situation, we can assume this man cut off this arm. So he's the culprit behind the body dumping that's been occurring in the neighborhood? At that point, there was no way of knowing who the right arm belonged to. But the next morning, the dismemberment murder of the dam construction site director was reported, and they mentioned that his right arm was still missing. So we learned who the arm belonged to. This man has a criminal record, and he's on probation. Yet he committed another crime. I bet he dismantled the body in order to hide it. I'm sure it depends on the circumstances, but he'll get more than just a few years in prison. So you won't hesitate to dissect a scumbag like him, right? Who knows? Maybe he was a scumbag before and became violent due to this syndrome. Or maybe he had gone straight, but became violent again due to the syndrome. The farmer wants a thing, but if that is the case, it's not his fault. That's why Hinamizawa syndrome is so terrifying. We can't tell if the syndrome is the cause of the crime, or if it's simply a problem of human nature. But what causes a defect of human nature in the first place? That was precisely Irie's area of research. Hate the crime, not the criminal. Can criminals only be corrected by punishing them with imprisonment? If a person commits a crime because of a mental disorder, but they gets treatment, he's corrected. In other words, there are no crimes in this world. Only patients awaiting treatment without anyone else being able to understand them. I love that so much because it is so true. It is so true. I love that statement. That statement is beautiful. In medieval times, patients with mental disorders were said to be possessed by demons and they were either confined or killed. Centuries after, they were finally acknowledged as mentally ill people who needed treatment. I've really liked Irie's comments about mental health, being someone who is diagnosed with a mental health disease as well. Even though I don't particularly like him, Because I still don't know whether he's like, you know, I think he's just being duped, but I don't like the fact that he's kind of like going along with this. But the way he talks about mental illness is there are so many great lines about it. Perception can change with time. Even if they are called criminals now, maybe after several centuries those criminals will be acknowledged as patients who are entitled to appropriate treatment, explaining crimes through illness instead of malice. That's my life's work. Hinamizawa syndrome is a strange disease that can support my theory. Solving its mysteries is extremely important to me. To solve those mysteries, I need a medical sacrifice. It's an extremely sinful thing to do, but there's no way to unravel this without it. The Irie Institute was authorized to take such drastic measures if necessary. That's why I was asked about it so many times before I accepted the position of director. And finally, the opportunity's here. This will be the first step of our research on this strange disease. But even now, I am a little hesitant. I've opened up human bodies in many surgeries. What I'll be doing on this man is something very similar, but there's also something that's very different. What I did before was part of treatment. I did it to save the patients' lives. I did it so the patients could have a better future. But what I'm trying to do here isn't treatment. He will die at the end of it. His death will be far from humane. I'm going to violate nature and force him to stay alive while I open up his living brain. Director Irie, are you listening? Sorry, could you repeat that? I believe it's best we submit the dissection proposal to Tokyo and request their assistance. He's not only alive, he's also in the terminal stage, so he's an extremely important specimen. We must conduct this dissection very carefully. That's true. You're right. Let's do as you say. I think we'll have a few days before the dissection, so I want to run some reaction tests once he's off the anesthetic. Do you think that's safe? Even if he's restrained, we don't know what will happen. We finally have the opportunity to test a live specimen. We can't only look into his brain. You should always feel eerie around that psychotic bitch. Takano's unusual cheerfulness made me feel odd. Maybe her reaction is normal. No, maybe I'm the one who's not reacting normally in this situation. I'm only here for research. So, I should be excited to have the opportunity to perform our first live dissection. But I'm still hesitant. How can I call myself a researcher? Researchers of the past were brave enough to cross the line, and that's how they accomplished many things. I've seen many brains, I've operated on them. I've lost some patients too. But I've never thought anything of it because I knew I did the right thing. Even when my hard work was denied afterwards. If it pained me to think of that, then I just needed to advance the field of medicine to assure their deaths weren't wasted. That's the true form of those advancing the field of medicine. Yet, why was my heart tormented so much just by changing the name from treatment to dissection? Does it mean I'm not man enough to emulate those great men of the past who opened the doors to new medicine? That I don't have the power to develop new advances myself? Hey, what's the matter, Director? Are you feeling okay? Takano's pretending to be concerned about me, but she knows. She knows I'm still hesitating. And she's telling me that I should be ashamed as a researcher for feeling that way. I shook my head to clear it of sleepiness. Remember the resolve that brought me here to this day. I already have blood on my hands. But if I stop now, their lives will be wasted. Those who shed their blood can only rest in peace once they become the cornerstones of great research. I shook my head once more and reminded myself that I am a researcher. No, I was just thinking. Takano-san, please make some arrangements with Tokyo. And let me know when it's done. Okay, understood. This is really exciting. The least I can do is my best, so his life won't be wasted. If he bleeds, I can't waste even a drop of his blood. After scolding my staff for their indiscretion of discussing the dissection with such excitement, I returned to my office. Okay. God, I hate any scene with that psychotic bitch. Satoko Hojo's dissection plan? That's scary. Why do I feel like we have the third year curse? Which one's the third year? I don't remember which is the third year Satoko's. I don't remember her being hospitalized. Okay, whatever. Satoshi-kun is a good brother who takes care of his sister. He went to visit Satoko-chan straight after school and kept encouraging her to get better every day. Without even hearing Satoshi's stories, it's obvious to me that Satoko-chan never had a good relationship with her step-parents. I'm thinking I'm Shion, so that's why I'm using her voice. She especially didn't get along with her stepfather. Satoko-chan even called a child abuse hotline once. Not only that, her parents ended up dying in an accident, so she just wasn't able to withstand all that damage. Satoko-chan is still very young, so everything must have been horrible for her to go through. Fortunately, she has a wonderful brother. Emotional wounds are hard to heal, but nothing heals those wounds better than love from family members. I'm sure that one day Satoko-chan will be able to smile again. She's still in shock, but when she talks to Satoshi-kun, she smiles a little bit. Oishi from the police department keeps requesting to see her, but I think I need to protect her for just a little longer. Wait, maybe this is Irie. While he's passionate about his job, I wish he'd be a touch more sensitive. If he reminds her of her parents' accident, her emotional wounds will start to open up again. That's the one point I worry about with Satoko-chan. It is Irie. I heard someone knocking on the door. It was Takano. It doesn't look right, wearing a nurse's uniform like that. She's a licensed doctor, so she should wear a white coat and act like one. Maybe this is fun for her, but I think she might be insulting the real nurses. I didn't say anything, though. Dr. Irie, may I talk to you? Oh, yes. Well, Satoshi-kun, if you'll excuse me. Sure. Hello, Satoshi. Please keep Satoko-chan company. She's always alone, so I bet she's lonely. Okay. Oh no, that's not true. Huh. Okay, Satoshi-kun, you're in charge. I got up and let Satoshi take over. Did something happen? Not right here. Let's go to your office. Takano-san smiled meaningfully. Usually, smiles bring happy feelings. But when it comes to Takano-san, that's rarely the case. Are you sure? Yes. The initial test results show there's a possibility she's at L3 or above. We need to keep her here and run more tests. The results aren't in yet, but from what I can see, it's very possible that she's at L4. Takano-san's eyes sparkled in a weird way. There's a reason for that. For us, Finding patients in the terminal stage is a valuable boon to our research. In fact, perfect. As a result of dissecting the murder suspect from last year, we've made great progress in our research. In other words, we finally managed to isolate the pathogen. We also discovered that when the host dies, the pathogen melts away within a few hours. Once that happens, it's undetectable. That's why we never found the pathogen when we performed autopsies. Our research made a lot of progress after that. What we found in this past year has easily surpassed what the late Dr. Takano found in decades. We're now studying the nature, the effect, and the symptoms of the pathogen, as well as treatment and vaccines. In other words, a living specimen who's at the terminal stage is a necessity for our research. However, we rarely find a patient who's gone that far, who's reached L5. Hinamizawa syndrome once created huge numbers of L5 patients, but today it doesn't have such potency. Because of that, we have to secure L5 patients, or patients who are close to reaching L5 as quickly as possible. Satoko-chan possibly qualifies to be that next sacrifice. To keep this strange disease a secret, we can't let patients who may be at L5 go. We have to run more tests first. Then we'll figure out what to do next. In any case, Satoko-chan seems so calm. Her behavior is nothing like the man from last year. Initial tests are in error sometimes. We'll have to wait for the results of the more detailed tests to determine how serious her condition is. Okay. Let's admit her for observation. Please let the staff know that get things ready. That sounds like a formal answer, but if results come back positive, that will be the green light for her dissection. Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't believe this. I don't know Satoko-chan that well, but I've known her brother Satoshi-kun through the baseball team for a long time. How could I dissect the apple of Satoshi's eyes? I can feel scary images flashing in my head for the first time. Don't worry. Everything is already taken care of. She smiled at me. She smiled as if telling me the dissection is already being prepared for. Is it just her who's smiling? Am I smiling like her too? When I dissected that man last year, I did feel guilt beforehand. But once I started, it was like I was in paradise. All the pieces of the puzzle that were left by Dr. Takano fell into place at the same time they didn't. How exciting it was! Knowing that we are the first ones to take steps to solve a mystery that is only happening in a tiny little hick-ass town, nowhere else. I don't even know how to explain this feeling to those who've never experienced it. There's no way to describe it with words. The only thing I can say is that even a year later, I still remember it vividly. So if the results show that Satoshi's beloved sister is to be dissected, can I control myself? Can I stay calm? But that means I'm a failure of a human being. I know very well that the Hojo family was treated poorly by the villagers, and I know what Satoko-chan had to go through. Also, I know Satoshi loves his sister, who is his one and only blood relative. How can I dissect Satoko-chan using my research as an excuse? I didn't feel much guilt for the man from last year, but I feel unbearable guilt towards Satoko-chan. That means what I did last year was very sinful. I don't care if a stranger dies. But I don't want Satoko-chan to die. That's not right. All lives are equally precious. I tried to convince myself that he was a violent murderer, but maybe he only became that way because he was at the terminal stage. I don't know anything about him before he became deranged. Maybe he was a model citizen who was worthy of respect. Unfortunately, he became ill and ended up doing what he did. Maybe he was a victim himself. Just like my father. I know more about Hinamizawa syndrome than anybody. This disease makes people act in bizarre ways without those people realizing it. So when the people are at terminal stage, they do strange and violent things. One should be sympathetic. I already knew that back when I decided to go down this path. I should have remembered it sooner, but I only did just now. I finally realized what sinful research I'm working on. Satoko Hojo's detailed test results came back. The results say L5. My god. She's at the terminal stage. It's actually a surprising result. In last year's case, the patient was extremely deranged. According to Takano-san's records, he complained about itching coming from the lymph nodes all over his body and wanted to claw at his throat, just as the late Dr. Takano mentioned. What if she fabricated them to come back that way? But Satoko isn't displaying such symptoms. Even in the late Takano's data, throat clawing is said to be a characteristic symptom of terminal stage patients. However, not all patients experience that symptom. Besides, emotional expression is very different in each person. Even if it's the same emotion, one patient may express it rather violently, and another may express it calmly. There's no way of knowing by just looking at a person. But Satoko's detailed test results say that she's at the terminal stage of the terminal L5. In other words, she may be feeling what that man from last year was feeling. It's just that she isn't expressing that feeling in the same way the man was. Hinamizawa syndrome affects the frontal lobes of the brain. It stimulates the most primitive emotions, doubt, very strongly. As a result, terminal patients are trapped in delusions and paranoia and end up committing horrible crimes. Satoko-chan seems to show improvement when she's exchanging friendly words with Satoshi, but there's paranoia stirring inside her that may put her in a deranged state at any moment. I can't let her leave the clinic like this. However, if things go according to the manual, I will have to make a decision on her dissection. My decision will only be a formality. I can't actually refuse. Takano already appears to be working on the dissection schedule. That plan will then come to me. Would I feel the same way while dissecting Satoko-chan? Would I be able to experience that trance once again? No. The question is, can I fight the temptation? As I pretend to question myself, I'm letting Takano-san prepare things on her own. By doing so, I'm passively agreeing to Satoko-chan's dissection. If possible, I want to save her. I don't want her to be a sacrifice for this research. I don't want to dissect her. Then what about the man from last year? Do I only care about the lives of people I know? If I don't dissect her, do I let her live and leave the clinic? Do I simply wait for her to become deranged and commit a horrible crime? And then she'll end up here just like the man from last year, and I'll end up dissecting her anyway. The man from last year was dissected alive and kept that way for several months. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's... Oh my god. You guys can't see me right now, but I'm like... hurt. Oh my god. With his skull left open, he wasn't allowed to die for several months. He was kept alive just for our cruel experiments. Oh my god, I'm like crying, you guys. I know you can't see it, but fuck. I don't want to do that to her. I don't know what to do. Even debating and agonizing over it is leading towards consent to her dissection by elimination. Oh my god. Fuck, dude. Oh, man. Oh. This one. This is the one. God damn it. I'm still, like, kind of getting over that. Damn. Whew. A group of boys are playing baseball under the powerful sun. The sound of cicadas makes the heat stand out even more, but to those boys, it's just another kind of cheering from the crowds. Of course, they go through training exercises to build stamina, but the boys don't actually like such routine activities. What they look forward to the most is the free game after practice. Makes sense? Damn. The school in Hinamizawa is actually borrowed from the forestry service. Oh, we knew that. The schoolyard is made of gravel, so it's not very appropriate for playing sports on. Compared to that, the grounds of the school in Okonomiya are properly maintained for athletic activities, so the kids grow even more energetic when they come here. Kids from Hinamizawa really don't care if the ground is made of gravel or not. The other instructor is watching the game, so I decided to go get some drinks for the team. I don't know who I am. Coach, where you going? Oh, I'm still Irie. I thought I'd go get some drinks for everyone. Do you mind helping me, Satoshi? Oh no. Not at all. Why does it do the stop thing with the sentences? It weirds me out. Satoshi-kun decided to come along with me. Sometimes kids don't like what grown-ups choose, so I'm glad he agreed to help. Satoshi-kun and I got in the car and headed to the grocery store nearby. Is there not a jihanbaiki near you? Vending machine. Manager? How is Satoko doing? Oh. Well, she's doing fine. Although it's an extremely slow process, her emotional wounds are healing. I think we should let her rest a little while longer. It's natural for Satoshi to be worried. Satoko's been in the hospital for over 2 weeks. Oh my god. Oh my god, I hate this! Oh my god. This is so Irie. God, you are such an asshole. I don't even care. Like, you're really good at talking about mental illness, but I'm like vomiting in my mouth from this awfulness. Of course he doesn't know his sister has Hinamizawa syndrome. Not only that, she's almost at L5. She can become deranged at any moment. He believes she is depressed because of the shock of their parents' accident. Not accident, you know. He came to the clinic every day to cheer his sister up. But Satoko-chan has become emotionally unstable and was showing some dangerous symptoms, so we called off the visits. We got that's needed for a fragment. In fact, Satoko-chan is not doing so well. L5, the stage Satoko was at, is a very abnormal one. The man from last year who was at the same stage was acting so abnormal that even a drug addict in his final stages would have turned and ran. There's no guarantee Satoko won't fall into the same condition. When we performed the autopsy of the man last year, we learned the true identity of the syndrome and gained great understanding of its mechanisms. We even discovered some important facts that may lead to the development of a cure. However, we have yet to find a method of actually curing the disease. So, if Satoko becomes unrecoverable, we may have to dissect her. Just like we did that man from last year. How can I tell Satoshi about his sister's situation? All I can do is make vague comments and lie to him that she's recovering. What if she becomes much worse? That would make me an unforgivable liar, and a murderer, and a psycho, and a crazy doctor, mad doctor. The tiny bit of conscience that remains in me hurts. If it's okay with your clinic. Huh? Can she stay there a little longer? Why are you saying that? I thought he'd wanted her to come home as soon as possible, so I'm a little surprised. Well, actually, Satoko doesn't get along with our aunt. I heard she didn't get along with her parents. But she can't get along with your aunt and uncle either? Satoko doesn't open up to grown-ups. Satoshi has told me about their family background. Their mother's constant remarriages wounded her children deeply. Satoshi was able to overcome it, but Satoko was too young to be able to do that. That left her traumatized, and now she has the tendency to distrust or dislike guardians who aren't related to her. Actually, nobody would like a guardian who isn't related to them. Not true! Adoption children. It's not just Satoko-chan. But usually people try to deal with that, even if they don't like it. I guess Satoko's not capable of that. Our uncle isn't home much. Besides, even when he is, he's either sleeping or watching TV, so he's not the problem. But our aunt really goes after Satoko. Interesting. Why doesn't she like her? I can guess why. Satoko's parents were dam proponents, and because of that, the villagers considered the aunt and uncle part of the Hojo family and ostracized them as such. Moreover, they passed away suddenly in an accident and left 2 children behind. So I guess there would be more hate there than gratitude. If she had been obedient like Satoshi, everything would have been fine. But Satoko-chan can't be that way. She shows that in her attitude and expressions, which lead to her and her aunt having a big fight. I've told my aunt about Satoko's situation, but she just can't understand. I think you're a great big brother, Satoshi. You're the one and only relative Satoko has left now. Right? I feel that way too. Satoshi said with a slight hint of a sigh. Doesn't say it. But it seems Satoshi has grown tired of having to cover for Satoko every time she and her aunt fight. Maybe he really does run away. He's a good person, as well as a good big brother. So I'm sure he'd do anything to cover for his sister. That's a very exhausting thing to keep doing forever. Satoshi was already doing that when their parents were alive. And eventually, his mental equilibrium couldn't handle the strain. He grew sick and even visited my clinic. Wait, I thought his circumstances might have improved after their initial cause. His parents were gone. But it seems things were even worse than before. I understand. I can't release Satoko-chan if things are like that. His symptoms may return again. Don't worry about the hospital fees. I'll make sure Satoko really, truly recovers. While trying to pretend I'm listening to his request, I feel a little disgusted at myself for making such selfish excuses. I'll make sure. Takano-san is working on a dissection plan as we speak. If that's possible, that'll help me too. Satoshi may have actually ran away, and I would be just laughing my ass off if he did. What? I mean, if Satoko stays in the clinic a little while longer, then I can relax as well. That's all. What do you mean? As soon as Satoko comes back, I know she'll get into fights with my aunt again. Then it's back to those days of constant fighting and screaming again, and I'll probably get dragged into it too. Oh, Satoshi! You asshole! I actually don't. I see where he's coming from though. I mean, that was the whole thing about Shion's, like, when Shion went crazy, that was like her whole thing. When she was like stabbing into Satoko, she was like, you cowered behind Satoshi and he was in such pain because of you and blah blah blah. She ain't wrong. But I would laugh so hard if he just ran away and Shion like went on that murder spree of revenge for him, and he's just like, I can't take this anymore. He's like in Tokyo just like chilling out like. So Satoko were hospitalized for a very long time. That would be the easiest on me. But when I think like that, I hate myself. Satoshi-kun. Satoshi's a great big brother who always sticks up for his little sister. But that doesn't mean he doesn't feel burdened. To think things like that. What a terrible brother I am. The more that I think that way, the more I hate myself. Satoshi said, sniffling once. His expression was that of anguish, as if truly feeling his own sin. Sin. That's a fragment. His desire to be a model big brother is putting himself under greater pressure. I feel bad for Satoko-san, but I also feel bad for Satoshi-kun in a different way. As someone who knows them both well, I feel I must be their ally, since they don't have anyone else who cares about them. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's Satoshi's awareness of his sins. The forgiveness of Reina Ryugu, though. Don't know. I feel like we're getting to the Satoko aunt being killed. We haven't done the Furude couple death yet. Oh, what am I missing? Let's try this one. Yay! My harsh and brutal days are still continuing without end. The situation between my aunt and Satoko remains the same. My aunt yells at Satoko for no reason every night. Although Satoko cries, she still talks back to her. So my aunt's yelling goes on and on forever. Satoko's crying goes on and on too. When Satoko sees me, she grabs onto me. She hides behind my back and tries to ignore my aunt's yelling. She always comes to seek my help. Satoko doesn't open up to anyone but me. So if I don't protect her, she'll be devastated. That security is something our parents didn't grant to Satoko. I have to be the one to provide it. But every day after day, every time Satoko cries, every day after day. Satoko grabbed onto me while crying yesterday. I patted her on the head, but along with pity, a different emotion came to me. I wanted to grasp her head and smash her against the wall. What an unbelievably devilish and awful emotion. No. I can't think that. No. It's not that I can't think it, I just can't acknowledge that feeling. Since that day, there's been someone else inside of me. That someone is trying to eat me up the inside and switch places with me. When Satoko begs for my help while crying, that person tries to make me spill out some awful and hateful words that are sure to damage Satoko forever. Leave me alone. Don't grab onto me. Go away! No. I can't! To prevent him from taking over my body, I clenched my stomach and drove him out. Managed to do that. But that wasn't it. That person is coming after me, trying to get back inside me. I won't let such a scary thing get back inside of me. He knows there's no room to slip into my heart as long as I keep it held shut like this. So he stopped trying, and instead is following right behind me. He's waiting for me to let my guard down. When I walk, he walks right behind me. He's breathing down my neck. He follows me everywhere, and when I lie down, he stares down at me. He's waiting for the right moment to jump back inside of me so he can hurt Satoko. It's been so hot lately. Maybe the heat is getting to me, and that's why I think things like this. I'm the only family Satoko has, so I'll have to protect her from my aunt for the rest of my life. That's my eternal duty. The rest of my life? Forever? Do I really have to do that forever? If only Satoko. But I'm her only family. But it's because of my aunt. But it's because of the villagers too. It's almost Wada Nagashi. Some irresponsible people are saying that the curse will once again, this is the third one, fall upon Hinamizawa. They're also saying it'll fall upon me and Satoko for sure. Maybe it's just my imagination, but lately the villagers expecting it are giving me especially sharp looks. I feel like I'll be killed on the day of the Watanagashi. Of course, there's no reason why I would be killed. It's just my imagination. Pat, 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 pat. Don't come inside of me. Satoko's my only sister in my family, so don't tell me those awful things. Stop. Stop. Don't come this way. Don't come this way! The footsteps came up right behind me, and a hand touched me on the shoulder. Ah! Oh, Reina. Are you okay? Are you? I must have been acting weird. Reina looked worried. Does Satoshi disappear this year? I can't remember timelines. Her name is Reina Ryugu. She just moved here. Moved and transferred to my school. Nobody remembers her, but supposedly she lived here in Hinamizawa a long time ago. In fact, she hardly remembers anything about Hinamizawa either. Since Mion is the only other classmate who's my age, I'm glad she's my friend. She usually carries on happily alongside Mion, but occasionally she shows more feminine consideration. Are you feeling okay? Do you want me to take you to the nurse's office? Do you? Thanks. I'm okay. Do I look sick or something? Yeah. Her immediate answer made me realize I wasn't myself. Is it about Satoko-chan? Are you worried? No, that isn't it. She knows my problem isn't physical but mental. This is just something that I have to think of myself, but even though Reina seems like a very easygoing person, maybe she's more perceptive than she appears. Since I just transferred here recently, I may not be able to help much, but I can at least listen. Sometimes talking can help. Although she just transferred, she already knows quite a bit about me and my sister, and also about the situation with the villagers. But talking about it won't solve anything. Actually, if I talk about it, I feel like I'd be admitting to my weakness, which might give that person a chance to get inside of me again. You were so surprised just now. That's why I thought something really serious was bothering you. Oh, that. Lately, I feel like someone's following me all the time. I thought that was you. Sorry. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Footsteps? Following you? Huh? I know those. I know those footsteps. Oh. I feel like pieces are coming into place, so we're gonna keep going for a little while longer. Because now I know footsteps, but I don't know about the part-time job. I thought I had something, but we don't have his freaking part-time job yet. I'm just gonna click on all of them because I don't know. What? Okay. Clearly. That very night, the head of the Furude family, the priest, gathered his wife and Rika together for a family meeting. In Hinamizawa, it was tradition for the three families to gather and discuss the village's issues. So it was hardly unusual for big families like the Sonozaki family and the Kimiyoshi family to have meetings beforehand to sort out opinions among themselves. However, the Furude family had lost its branch families, so there were only 3 of them left. So until that day, they had never had a family meeting at all. What is it? You're being so formal. Is it about the dam construction? Oh, we're going back in time a little bit here. The dam was the most important issue at the village in the moment. The wife naturally assumed the priest wanted to talk about the dam. For him to gather all of them together like that, it must be a huge decision he had to make. Oh, come here. Perhaps he was going to talk about joining the pro-evacuation camp? No, it's not about the dam. But it's about something extremely important which concerns the village, and perhaps all the ancestors of the villages too. The Furude family has served in the priesthood of Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of the village, for generations. So for him, the head of the family, to start out that way, it must be something extremely important. Yet he said it wasn't about the dam, so what could he want to talk about? I married into this family, so I want you and Rika, who carry the true blood of the Furude family, to listen very carefully. You two aren't normal human beings. I'm the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, right? Rika, you shouldn't say such things. Dear, let's talk about things like that without her. She's heard enough nonsense from the elderly people at the village hall already. What she just said about her being the reincarnation of Oyashiro, that appears to be true. What? It's a rather long story. Please just sit tight and listen. I'm going to use my own voice if he's going to be talking for a long time. The wife had a dumbfounded expression on her face, not knowing what he was going to say, but Rika was completely relaxed, wearing her usual carefree expression. The priest started to talk after his wife calmed down. Oh, there is a disease in this village that has been here for many years. It's a special disease which only exists here in this area, which is why I don't understand the freaking research. How is it supposed to help anywhere else when it's only this little tiny area? Everyone who lives in this village has the disease. Not only the people who live here now, but all the people who have ever lived here had the disease. What? But we're all perfectly healthy. I've never heard of this disease exclusive to the village. Calm down. As long as we're here in the village, the disease won't cause any problems. But once you move away from the village, that's when it starts to act out. Do you understand? How? How can you expect me to understand such a thing? I have no idea what you're talking about. It's the same as the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Rika said it so calmly while her mother became frustrated. That's right. See, the way they're talking about it makes it seem more like it's supernatural, which is what I think. Or what makes more sense to me. That's right. They say that when you leave this village, you're cursed. It's just like that. In other words, the curse of Oyashiro-sama, which our ancestors have feared for generations, is actually a disease that only exists in this village. How could that be possible? That's what I want to know, girl. We've left the village before. Other villagers, too. Some have gone on business trips and some even traveled to foreign countries. True. But that's probably because the disease has weakened over a long time. So it was going to disappear eventually. But the business with the dam disrupted that process. I don't don't even understand how that makes any fucking sense. Whatever. Everyone knew that during the damn war, the entire village was aflame with agitation. Such excitement and emotional instability makes the disease stronger. I still don't know what you're trying to say. What we thought was a curse all this time was actually caused by a disease? The disease that doesn't make any fucking sense. That's right. All the rules Oyashiro-sama came up with were to protect the villagers from this disease. No way! Then Oyashiro-sama's actually a disease, not a god. How could that be? How can I explain to the Furude family ancestors? Calm down. The faith in Oyashiro-sama won't change. But it's a disease that doesn't make any fucking sense. A disease spreads. A disease wouldn't just stay in a one tiny little hick-ass town. The fact that Oyashiro-sama is watching over Hinamizawa will remain the same. It just means the disease producing Oyashiro-sama's curse was in this village since long ago, that's all. I won't accept that. How can I explain that to our ancestors? This is a desecration of the Furude family's age-old traditions. No, this is a desecration of Oyashiro-sama. Who told you such a thing? This isn't acceptable. In the first place, can you prove such a disease actually exists? I can. What kind of proof? Who gave it to you? The people from the Ministry of Health and the National Institution of Infectious Disease Prevention. They've already found the pathogen and they're searching for a cure right now. I saw the documents and the samples last week. The people of the Ministry of Health call it Hinamizawa syndrome. No way. As long as you lead a normal life, the syndrome is harmless. But once you go far from Hinamizawa or become emotionally unstable, it's easy for the disease to manifest itself. This disease doesn't make any fucking sense. God damn it. You had a beautiful story game and then you fucked it up with it being a stupid disease. Why can't it be supernatural when there's clearly Steins Gate time looping going on here? When the disease acts out, you can be possessed by your own delusions, and in the worst case scenario, you can go mad. They discovered this disease during the war. A distinguished scholar noticed that only the soldiers from Hinamizawa came down with the blah blah blah. They explained some details of this research, but I'm sorry. They're too complicated for me to explain, because it doesn't make any sense. If you don't believe what I'm saying, why don't you go listen to them yourself? At first, I was indignant too, wondering how they dared to blaspheme Oyashiro-sama and spout such nonsense. The Irie clinic was built to study this syndrome. It appears to be just a clinic on the outside, but it's actually a secret research center for studying the syndrome. Secret research? That's ridiculous! If it's actually backed by the Ministry of Health, why aren't they doing it out in the open? Well, I guess they can't. For example, think about leprosy victims who were misunderstood and exiled. They're all still misunderstood and discriminated against even today, in fact. If the whole country finds out about this and thinks that everyone in Hinamizawa who has contracted this weird disease can go mad at any moment, it'll turn into chaos. The Ministry of Health has taken that into consideration and is working on developing a cure while keeping the disease a secret. Don't get me wrong, though. They aren't trying to put us on display or anything. They're trying to eliminate this disease and free the village from it. It was a different story long ago when we supported ourselves, but nowadays it's impossible not to leave the village. If a simple act of leaving the village can trigger the disease, you realize how dangerous it is for the villagers, right? This is what I can't get behind the disease. There are many different climates in Japan. Okay, there's mountains, there's like snow areas, there's like kind of tropical-ish areas. You cannot tell me that a disease only is in one place. And how the fuck can a disease trigger when you get farther away from a town? It's like King's Game, if you guys have ever seen King's Game, and how that was like a disease as well that didn't make any fucking sense. It was like something in the brain or something. Just make it supernatural. What is wrong with it being supernatural? It actually makes sense. I'm repeating myself now, but in the recent dam protests, the whole village entered a strong, excited state, which is very bad for the Hinamizawa syndrome. If some villagers go crazy and do something horrible, it will be all over the media. That's right. If that happens, it'll be too late. But how can I believe this? Are you sure we're dealing with people from the government? Are you sure you aren't being tricked? I don't blame you for not being able to believe it. They said we can come take a look at their facility anytime. I've seen it before and I know they're no mere fraud. Even the big hospitals on Gogura don't have such a large-scale equipment. If you can't believe what I just told you, you should go to the research center yourself and ask questions. They can explain it better than I can. They said if their explanation isn't good enough, they can explain it to you at the National Research Institution in Tokyo, or even at the Ministry of Health. Whether I believe it or not, how are we related to that? It is said that the Furude family inherited the blood of Oyashiro-sama. And it is also said that if a girl was born for 8 continuous generations, that the 8th generation girl would be the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. Meep. That's right. I'm the 7th, and Rika's the 8th. But what does that have to do with the disease? This Hinamizawa syndrome is caused by a type of parasite. Although they're very tiny, you can't even see them with the naked eye. They say there's a sort of leader among these parasites. That doesn't make any sense either. Are you saying that's the Furude family? How does that even make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Look, I am not a scientist, but come on. It appears that the leader of these parasites is passed down through the generations only by people with the direct bloodline to the Furude family. In other words, in the previous generation it was you, and now it's Rika. Meep. She's just meeping at this. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I agree with you, girl. Why would it be something so disgusting as parasites in the first place? Calm down. I'm not good at explaining things, because it doesn't make sense. Please have the experts explain it. According to them, studying this parasite leader is necessary in order to research the disease. No! I won't have anything to do with such suspicious research, and Rika won't either. I'm telling you to calm down. They think that the Hinamizawa syndrome acts out when they separated from the parasite leader, not the village itself. When you were little, do you remember villagers telling you you had psychic powers? You were able to cure elderly people who got migraines after taking a long trip. That's the proof that you were carrying the parasite leader. The Furude bloodline has the power to cure people with the disease. That doesn't even make any sense! To discover a cure, it's extremely important that we participate in their research. I'm just gonna think of it as like a zombie plague, because that's the only thing that makes sense. If they study me, will the villagers be saved? That's what they say. And all the villagers are infected. Me? Everyone else? Satoko too? Yes. Not only the people who live in the village, but their relatives in Okonomiya too. We're talking thousands of people. That's why the Ministry of Health spent so much money to build a specialized research center. No, it's not. I object. How can you let Rika be a sacrifice for something that's suspicious? I don't mind. If Satoko can be saved, I don't mind being a sacrifice. I really don't. You be quiet, Rika. I absolutely refuse. I'll go talk to them and refuse them directly. I won't let them kill Rika in some crazy experiment. Besides, Rika is the one and only heir of the Furude family. What if something happens to her? The Furude family will die right there. Don't you see that? You need to think more about our family. That's why why the villagers call you an opportunist. After all, don't you think it's odd? The Ministry of Construction is trying to submerge the village, and the Ministry of Health is trying to cure a disease? What in the world is going on? The Ministry of Health... It doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. Has warned me that this disease could be triggered by a change of environment. So they're actually trying to have the Ministry of Construction stop the dam construction plan. You really should go to the research center. Why would they build such a huge facility in a location that could be submerged? Mika let out a big yawn. It was long past bedtime for a little girl like her. I'm going to bed now. Dad, please let them know I'm willing to participate, okay? Rika! You can't make such a decision without consulting me! Rika! Wait, Rika! Alright, well, we're gonna end that episode there. Some interesting stuff came out, for sure. I don't know. I'm just gonna pretend it's like a zombie disease. That just makes me feel better about the whole thing. Okay, and I'll see you guys later. I love you all. Jenny.